Paul Costabile. I'm a host, a writer, producer, and well, why don't I just show you? You nailed it. Great take. I first started when I wanted my own talk show right here on the streets of New York. So I made one in the middle of Times Square with a cardboard desk. Hey, Times Square, what's up, everybody? Then I came to iHeart. After harassing celebrities with a camera for a little while, I became the face of the brand, doing fun bits and interviews with pretty much everyone.
Listen, you woke me up.
Yes. Morning.
Hi. So excited!
Rapping to the ones and two, let's get silly, yo.
Yeah, my name's Ed, he's a super guy. He's like super fly, like Jay-Z and Jay-Z.
Teach me that in a very short time right now. So why am I telling you all this? Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and say hello to you guys, because you probably talked to enough agents, you've seen enough reels, and this is just more me. Paul Costabile here, comedian, host, and make sure you listen to the Burn Down podcast. It's a good time, guys.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Down. Today's guest, we have someone who's a TV host, he's a comedian, he's a writer, he's a producer, even an entertainment reporter, and of course, a cigar smoker. And that man is no other than Paul Costabile.
Fellas, thanks for having me. What's up?
We are here in cold New York, Long Island, and you look to be out in sunny California with a beautiful quaff going on.
Thank you. You know, I'm from Jersey. I'm an East Coaster. I go all the time. But this time of year, you really do lean into this. And you make your family and friends feel terrible because it's beautiful.
So let me ask, do you miss the snow at all?
No. This happens to us out here. I like snow. The only time I like snow is when I was living in the city. And you can enjoy it falling. And you can say, I'm not going into work. I'm going to the bar. It's 11 a.m. And then I don't have to shovel because the city's doing it. Like there's no work. And you can kind of do anything. That's the only time I like snow in New York.
Now, do you
fall?
Were you like a skier or a snowboarder at all?
No, I did like a little snowboarding in Jersey growing up here and there, but never like I was like very into risk when I was a kid. I broke a bunch of bones, so I broke like my collarbone snowboarding and did all this crazy stuff. So I was a skateboarder. Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Because that's usually when people, like I said, my fiance and I are snowboarders, so we love the snow. We go up into the mountains, snowboard. But if you're not into the snow stuff, it's like people just like, I fucking hate the snow. I want to get out of here.
You have to go.
You have to. You have to utilize it. If you don't, then it's like, all right, it's good for December, and then it's no more.
I'm one of those guys because I don't snowboard or ski.
Yeah, it becomes work, and it becomes gross. It becomes slush, especially in the city. It's like it's like gross.
Oh yeah, the city snow is way different than like upstate mountain snow.
Yeah, upstate mountain snow is gorgeous, man. Yeah, that's when you can enjoy it.
That's a great point. So where are you originally from in Jersey?
So I'm from a town called Hillsdale, right by Paramus, not too far from the George Washington Bridge.
Sure.
Family history. It's fun just meeting you guys too. I want people to know this is like my first Instagram bromance happening in real life. I saw your reels. I got to tell everybody. Yes. I saw your reels. I was going viral. I watched it like 5 times. I'm like, I feel like I know these guys. I feel like this is my type of humor and my type of guy. Followed you. Like, it's funny how that happened, though. It's how it's like internet discovery, right?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it.
And it was funny, too, as I immediately looked at you guys. I was like, there's no way these guys aren't from New York. I was like, in my head, I'm like, there's not like Midwest town or some shit. I'm like, no, they're definitely New Yorkers or something. But anyway, family was from Italy originally, and then went to New York City, the Bronx, and then roots in Brooklyn, and then eventually New Jersey is where everybody settled. So I was born there. My whole family's from there, and now I'm newly out here, which is still like an adjustment, but it's good.
Yeah, I mean, once you can take a real good look at somebody, and 75% of the chance you can tell whether they're from New York, New Jersey. Like it's a key
just that little
factor.
Pocket right there. Like
right?
You're from Queens, you're from Brooklyn, Staten Island, you're from like.
And each one almost has like a distinct, trait or personality. You can be like, Brooklyn, Jersey, Long Island. It's really wild. Like no other place in the world or in the country you can kind of decipher people. It's not like Florida. You can be like, oh, this person's from Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a unique bubble of us crazy Stunads, I feel like. Are you
That's right.
Are you guys in Long Island?
I am, yes.
Yeah, so
okay.
we're both born and raised in Long Island, and then I recently about 3 years ago, I moved up to Lower Westchester, so I'm right outside the
Oh,
city.
that's right.
Yeah,
Cool.
right outside the Bronx too. So
Nice, man.
it's a different way of living. Highest property taxes in the nation. So
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
next. I mean, I think next to California in probably L.A. is
it's
right
not-
up there with New York. So
Yeah.
So I just got married 3 months ago. So now we're looking for houses and stuff like that. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing
Yeah.
here?
Oh, congrats, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate it. I know you're a
Yeah.
married man, a family man. So we do have some questions about recently married men. We probably have to get to.
Oh
so.
boy. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
but before we get into that,
Of course.
before we dive into the interview, we got to do what we always do here on the Burnout Podcast.
Before we go into it, I had to tell Justin what cigar to get because our recent conversation on Instagram, you told me one cigar is the best cigar, hands down. So we both have the LFD Andalusian Bulls.
Oh my God, guys. I can't believe I don't have one. They're actually super rare to find out here. That's my favorite cigar you're smoking.
Bro, they're very hard
I'm
to
honored.
get. And I was like, man, I think I have one in my humidor, and I know Justin definitely has one. So I was like, we got to smoke it. It's only right.
Dude, I'm so honored you do that. Thank you so much. You're going to love it. I'm sure it's an experience, those cigars.
Yeah, it's a one-of-a-kind cigar. Like you said, it's hard to find. So once you do get your hands on it, you don't really want to smoke it right away. You do like to let it marinate a little bit in the humidor.
Sure.
But we are here smoking for you, the LFD. And
I appreciate that. I wish I was able to get one myself, but this is like, I'll show you what this is, which is my father's cigar.
That's one of his
this cigar
favorites.
is yeah, me too. This is like if I don't have like a nice Andalusian bowl or something a little bit classier, nice. This is my this is my day smoker. I'll have this anywhere I can find these, I'll just smoke these because they're so smooth, like a casual. I give these out to people all the time. Like I'll be like, here, have it, because it's just a perfect middle ground stick. I really like it.
That's exactly what I say. That is my go-to. Have to have it in the humidor at all times, which is why I pulled it out. I have it in my travel humidor right here. I was going to smoke that one.
Yeah.
I was going to smoke that one. He goes, no, you got to get LFD, an Andalusian bowl. I was like, all right, well,
so look,
go get the bowl.
I'll smoke this for you. You smoke that for me. It's like,
there we go. How you doing?
That's it.
And that's the My Father, My Father.
Yeah, Flor de las Antillas.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great
Yeah,
stick.
I don't know why I love this one, man. And I just was the other day, in a pinch with some, looking for some cigars in town, and I just ran into a random smoke shop, and a lot of places have these too.
Yeah.
Which is why it's convenient.
Yeah, and it's a great bang for your buck too, because and here in New York, it's the tax kind of hiked it up a little bit, but it was, you can get it online. It's usually like a $10 stick, maybe a little bit less if you get it in a box. And for the $8 to $12 range, wherever you can find it, it's a killer smoke. Yeah. Super smooth, great flavor.
So one thing I always do with this, I like that it comes with the red ribbon. This is so funny and kind of Don Corleone. I always put it on my pinky when I'm smoking it.
Love it. Love it.
And then you sit with people, and after a while, they're like, "You have a pinky ring?" I go, "No, but I just do this. It's like a habit I do with this thing." So I'll share with you guys. This is the show to share my weird cigar habits.
Hey, man, we all have our little quirks with cigars, so it's all good. I love it.
Right?
So I'm going to attempt. I think I got your last name down. So it's Paul Costabile.
Yes.
Perfect.
Wow, the guy did some research over here.
I did. You know what? I was like, you know what? I'm not going to mess it up. I watched you on one podcast. I think it was like a dad podcast, and you actually said your last name, like not someone else saying it. So I was like, all right, perfect. So that's exactly how he says his last name. So I had to practice it a few times.
Paul
Appreciate
Costabile.
Yeah. Because, I mean,
Thank you.
You are a professional interviewer. You interview high-end celebrities. So I said, he's not, we're going to be on our podcast. We got to make sure we're coming equipped.
I appreciate that, man. In show business, it's been this weird, I don't know what to do with my name, but I do think about my grandpa. I'm so sentimental. My grandfather came over on a boat with nothing. I'm like, I gotta keep. If you say it right, you can remember it. I go through so many phases. Make it simple, make it easy. I do a lot of stand up. People are butchering it every night on stage. I'm like, I'm just gonna let it rock. Just let it ride, because it's people want you to be yourself.
So how many times do people say Costabile?
That's what I grew up with. So the pretentious part of the story that my family makes fun of me for is I learned Italian later in life. And once I learned the language, I was like, I'm not saying it wrong anymore. I can't say it the wrong way, the Americanized way. It's wrong. So I started saying it that way. And the fun thing is now my daughter, she only knows her name, the Italian way. So it's like I changed the generational thing. As my grandparents in the 50s, they kind of got a little more Americanized with how they said it, just to kind of assimilate.
Right.
And so I'm now back in this generation. I'm like, no, we're going back to the roots. So when I'm in Italy, if I say my last name in Italy, people are like, immediately they go, oh, Costabile. Like they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah. So it's all good. I'm an Italian American, proud Italian American, a little bit of both.
There we go. Hey,
there you go.
Salud, cheers. Chin chin.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's do it. We're drinking coffee, by the way, our favorite pairing here on the podcast.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a long weekend. My brother from another mother got married, so I was. He
was the best man, to say the least.
I was on the struggle bus this morning.
Congrats!
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so coffee it is right now, but.
Yeah, usually Justin's the upbeat guy, always high energy, like always positive.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good right now.
No, you're good now. Not when I first saw you.
No, I was on the.
I walked in. I'm knocking on his door. He's not coming to the door. I'm like texting him. I'm like, dude, I'm here. And he's like, I thought you would have just came in. I'm like, no, I always knock and wait for you. And he's like lugging. He's like, oh, what's up? And I'm like, dude, you all right, man? Like, we got to get it going. So he's
got to get it rocking.
Well, it was an early morning. It was like an 11 a.m. wedding, so we were up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, which wasn't a big problem. But it's not the waking up early; it was the staying up late because it was a 11 o'clock wedding, and then you had the after party that started at like 6, and it goes until friggin' midnight. So you're just rocking all day long.
Weddings. I'm sure you know. Weddings are a marathon. You know, there's a lot going on. It's a nonstop day, drinking on your feet.
And it was a New York City wedding nonetheless. So, oh goodness gracious.
Yeah, New York, New Jersey. I'm sure California's the same, but the weddings are like way over the top as always. Like I had some friends come from Texas, and they're like people.
It's a whole production.
It is. It's crazy. So it was. It's interesting. So let's you kind of give us a background, a little bit who you're from, where you come from, your name, how you are. Now, how did you get into show business? How did that whole journey start?
It's funny. It's actually tied to weddings. Speaking of, great segue. When you're an interviewer for so long, you just think in segues. You know, you go, oh, okay, here goes this, go to there.
Segue always.
Segue. Now I'm cheesy about it. I just say I'm doing a segue. I've done it. But my dad was in a wedding band growing up, so I was around like entertainment. Tri-state area. I probably, there's a very high chance I was at a wedding in your orbit in the 90s or 2000s. Like literally like every wedding in the area, I was either roadieing early on in my life, and then I became a DJ and an MC, and I'm also a drummer. So I played in wedding bands. And so I was around weddings, and that's sort of when I first started being on a microphone in front of people. And you do the cheesy stuff as the wedding DJ, especially where we're from. You do all the jokes, and you're doing this, and you're hitting on the mom, and you're like, you're doing your DJ MC thing. And that kind of was the first thing that when I was super young, I was like 14, doing these things, making great cash, like other than my friends working at like restaurants or delivery, like I was like at weddings gigging. And so that was the first time I was really in front of people, entertaining people really. And I thought that's when I first got bit by like, I want to do this more. And I studied TV. I did the TV club in high school, was doing comedy videos in high school. That then led me to study it in college and really take it seriously. And I wanted to be like really in media and TV. And then that kind of branched out to all the forms from that point of like improv comedy first, then doing stand-up, and then eventually led me to being a full-time interviewer. But it took a long time to get that job title. But essentially it's my favorite job is talking to people in all walks of life, like you guys, and meeting and also making it fun and making it comedic.
Yeah, because you're like a jack of all trades. You're an entertainer, you're a host, you're a comedian, an interviewer. Like you do a lot of different things. So kudos to you for working that hard.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Too many. And it keeps changing. It's the one thing about show business that I think I sort of love and hate, but it's like the roles always change. And I've actually written a lot more in the past year than I've ever written. And I'm falling in love with that. Like I love writing and doing stuff in the scripted side, which is new for me, really.
So when you say writing, are you writing plays? Are you writing movies? Are you writing books? Like what do you mean by when you say you're writing?
It's kind of mixed in with the stand-up part about writing comedy, but then I also I have a writing job for this tech company that I'm basically doing comedy sketches for them, like commercials. And the big thing this year that is making me take it more seriously is we just had a Super Bowl commercial that I wrote air during the big game. and I hate flexing that to you guys, just meeting you, but it's a stepping stone, point for me as a writer, because it was, when you have something that is in here that you want to see come to life, and then millions of people are seeing it, it was just a new experience for me, and it making me think a lot harder about like going to the paper. Of course, it's cliche though. I moved to LA, I moved to Hollywood. Now I'm a screenwriter, right? Like every single person I see here.
Of course. So what was so this Super Bowl commercial? This was the one. I believe it was the old presidents, wasn't it? Was it the old put on the wigs and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, don't worry about flexing. You flex all you want.
I want to hear where did this like idea come from? How did it just like pop in your head? Like, oh wow, this would be a cool commercial.
I can't take full credit, but the company I work for is cool, and they're open to the kind of the comedy side of stuff. And we were developing a history campaign, which is basically a bunch of historical. We had the idea, I thought it'd be funny to go back in time and see people with modern technology in this company. And so we had a bunch of them. Caveman, we had the moon landing. We haven't even done the moon landing one. We did a caveman one. We kept thinking about historical events. And then the Constitution popped in because I thought it'd just be funny to see the founding fathers be kind of like dummies, especially because we like look up to their history so much, and we look to the prestige of writing the Constitution, signing the Declaration of Independence. So I thought it'd be funny if they just were all idiots for a commercial.
So amazing.
And we ended up making it the Declaration of Independence. It wasn't originally it was the Constitution, and things get, you work with really talented people that make it better and better. So it wasn't just me, obviously, but you make it funnier with the team. And on set, we just made them doofier. Like we made toward the estate of John Adams should sue me. They haven't, but we just like made him the dumbest guy. He wasn't, but for some reason, like, it'd be funny if he's just a doofus. Like it makes no sense, right? But that's what's fun about the creative of that type of stuff, is you can just take license and make it funnier. And audiences, I think, just want something to be funny and quick. So it didn't really matter, and everyone's dead. So it was great.
And that's what comedy's about too. Is it's like, it's you're like you said. He wasn't a dumb guy. He clearly was not a dumb guy. He's a very intelligent guy, but you're like, it'd be kind of funny if he was dumb, and you just make a skit about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's people out there that are roasting you. How could you do that? And you're like, dude, just calm down, okay? It's a skit. It's funny. Just take it for what it is. It's comedy. Take it easy. Relax, okay?
We ended up following each other like right before the Super Bowl. So I saw you were posting stuff about the commercial. So I was like, oh. Yeah. And I was like, Justin, I'm like, the guy we're trying to get on a podcast, he's gonna be in the Super Bowl commercial. So we're watching the Super Bowl at my friend's house, and the commercial comes on, and I was like, yo, see that guy right there? I'm getting on my podcast. Everyone's like, really? Okay, Eric. And I was like, he's coming on.
No. You just click. Oh, click up.
Yeah, I didn't even know it until he told me afterwards. He's like, yo, you remember that commercial? I was like, yeah. He goes, that's the guy we're getting. I'm like, no shit.
That's great. It was a first for me, man. It was an honor. Like, it was really cool to have it go to that scale, and to have people like, because it aired in different times. So we had people in New York hit me up, then I had people out here hitting me. It was just cool, a cool night, to experience that. And funny story, I lost Wi-Fi. It's probably going to happen here again in the area, right at the halftime show at my house. And my buddy who worked on it with me, were like, shit, what are we going to do? It was actually amazing. We ran in my car super fast to a bar around the corner, got out, got in, ordered 2 mezcals on the rocks, got our drinks, looked up, and the commercial aired. It was crazy.
What
a better experience, though. Yeah, we're like, oh! And the bar saw it. The guy gave us free drinks. It became like a little party at this bar.
That's a great moment.
Yeah, because if you would have had Wi-Fi, it wouldn't have been as special because you would have just saw it right there. But because you had to run out of there.
It was... So how it reminded me of not having cable in New York. I used to go watch TV finales at bars back in the day.
Yep. I had channel 2 through 13 until I was like pretty much out of high school.
Okay. Right, exactly.
How long did it take to do all that makeup and hair and stuff?
Oh, these guys, I mean, being at that level of a production, they had top-notch people in LA, and we had movie people. Hair and makeup was multiple hours. I mean, we did a fitting the day before. These are people that do like the movies and stuff. So it was cool. I had a bald cap. It was funny to do it the right way and really make it look that way. And that's what's been fun about writing, is when you write something that can be made with really creative people, like the right way, it's super rewarding. And it's just made me want to do it more, especially when you have the backing of a company. It's a lot more fun, I think, than just trying to do it yourself.
And so going back to your early days, saying you had a lot of people backing you and a lot more help, your first show, Gorilla Late Night, right?
Yeah.
Now, is that due to guerrilla marketing? Because I watched a little bit of it, and I'm like, guerrilla marketing is like in your face, like all over the place.
Yep.
And you were running around the city and like just doing your late night talk show around everybody. So is that how you came up with the name, first of all?
Yeah. First of all, I'm honored you guys are bringing this up because it's like my first segue into doing what I do now. So thank you for like knowing it. It was my first jump into this like host role I've had ever since. I took my DJ money and I paid for a crew that was still in college to go do a late night show. And this is at a time when there weren't a lot of late night shows and there weren't a lot of web shows. It wasn't like, I know I sound old, but there was like YouTube shows, but there wasn't like late night talk shows.
It was like 2009, right?
Yeah.
Time frame?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah. But it was a risk that really taught me how to write and produce a show myself. We had 3 cameras at 43rd and Broadway. And my cameraman at the time, I just met up with him out here because he was filming the Super Bowl. He's like one of the most sought after film, production guys and shooters now. He was testing out his early, we just graduated college. So we bring 20-foot jibs, like big cranes into Times Square, like super illegal stuff. We were just trying to make a show happen. We had dollies out there and I got one permit for one camera and the cops would always come and I would just be like, look, we got a permit from the mayor's office. And if you had the permit, this is at that time. It's a lot harder now, I think.
Yeah, of course.
We would just get away with it. We got friendly with the cops. But what I always tell people is like, I was 21 years old. I had a dream to be a host and an interviewer and do comedy. And it was at a time where we just went and did it. And my career has sort of always been that way. I haven't stopped. There's something I want to do. I just go try it and do it. And I think that's the generation of the internet now too. You guys have a show here, like go make it. And that's sort of been the mentality ever since. I wasn't hired to host and interview people professionally for like another 6 or 7 years after that thing. No, maybe. Yeah. Like actually as a title. So it was me kind of put myself out there, but yes, Gorilla, because it was pop up. It was like Gorilla, like, oh, we're here. We're doing a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bang. Right in your face. Here it is.
I thought that was so cool.
And I do want to thank you so much. And I want to tell you guys, because this is something I'd like to start promoting a little bit is we sort of rebooted the concept 10 years later because I still believe in the cardboard desk, which I have in that show. And we took it across the country to small mom and pop shops in small towns. And we're about to reboot it and bring it back out with a kind of a new flavor. It's called the Pop-Up Show, which is basically the same idea. We pop up in small towns and do a whole show. Wow. But it's it's less late night. It's a little more travel, variety. We interview old people. We talk to a guy named Mountain Man in New Hampshire. We go to DC and talk to the oldest lady in DC, 105. I go to dinner with her. Like, it's a kind of a heartfelt comedy, older version of that show. So I'm proud of that as well. It's coming out soon.
And where are you looking to broadcast? Is it going to be on the internet? Is it going to be like a YouTube show? You're going to try to sell it to like a Netflix?
So Netflix turned us down. It's funny that
fuck them. Fuck them.
Exactly. Well, no, it's funny. It's funny talking to you guys about Gorilla because, naively, I always thought maybe I'd be able to get a deal or something. And I've gone back to the same thinking I had then, which is like, I made this show. I just had to put it out. It's been sitting on an edit shelf with my team for a little bit. And like, we're so proud of it. We just want to release it. So we're going to self-publish it on YouTube and social and try and build a little bit of an audience around it and see where it goes from there. But I've been talking to networks and streamers for a while and it's just a different time. And I don't think it's a loss because at the end of the day, it's still like my vision. And so I could just put it out and see. And all my idols, if I think about it in comedy, do that. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you it's good. And we spent money and went and made it. So like, it wasn't like I was hoping the concept would work. We went and did 6 episodes. So
love it.
Yeah. So the concept, it worked. It's done. It's made. And now it's just a matter of
presenting it.
Yeah, presenting it. So it's not like you said, it's not like, oh, it's still in my head and we haven't created it. It's done. It's finished. And now it's just, okay, how are we going to market this? How are we going to get it out there?
Yeah, I've always been delusional about what I want to do with my career. And so I just go like, I want to do Gorilla again, but I want to go to small towns. And then we just made it happen. I was able to take my experience in TV for so long and use a lot of really great people from NBC, people from really high level people to go make something at that level. And I think I forget sometimes I've been doing it for a while, like that you still have to have that hustle mentality, and some of those famous people in the world I've met think that way. They do, they go and they make shit happen. So
absolutely. I mean, what's that quote? How that quote goes? Imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. Right. So if you can think it up in your head, like, why can't you just make it
happen?
Why can't you make it happen?
Like, I love it.
So is it, because I love this show, is it a more intimate and more engaging than like Billy on the Street? right? Because Billy on the street.
The new one?
You know, Billy on the street, right? So the guy, he runs up to random people around New York City and just yells at him and interviews them and says,
give me a famous woman celebrity for $1. For $1.
Yeah.
But yours sounds like it's more intimate. You're actually getting to know people wherever you are. You're not really running up on people and like asking them bizarre questions and yelling at them.
We have different features of the show, but yes, we go and meet families. We go talk to people. It's got a little more of a heart, this one. But I do some man on the street. Like, for example, in D.C., I dress as Abe Lincoln. And we called it Brutally Honest Abe. And I go around and I do yell at people like based on what our observations that are brutally honest. But it's all mainly feel good. We dressed up as Paul Revere in the Boston area and went on horseback with Paul Revere reenactors. Like we do it's kind of history meets comedy. So there's a little bit of everything. But I've always been playful, man. Like I still prank people. I do bits on the streets all the time, but I never want to be a jerk. So even if I'll mess with someone, we'll still make sure it's like kind of fun for everybody. Like I've made people cry, but then I've apologized.
Hey, well, you can only make so many people happy, you know? Now, I do have to bring this up on a side note. My wife is a big fan of your wife. So
nice.
So I said, Marissa, do you know who I'm interviewing tomorrow? And I said, it's Christina Perri's husband. At first, no, I don't really know female singers. So when I first Googled you, it said, spouse, Christina Perri, and I was like, who's that?
Sure.
And then I just saw the words Jar of Hearts and 1,000 Years. And I remember the word Jar of Hearts. And I said, Marissa, do you know who this is? And she goes, yes, Eric. When I picked my wedding dress, her song came on. It was the deciding factor with her song 1,000 Years. So she's like, you have to bring that up. And I was like, really?
Of course.
And she goes, yes. She goes, I put on the dress and I was thinking about it. And then the song 1,000 Years came on. And she's like, all right, this is the one. And she came out and gave everyone the okay. But she's like, you have to bring it up. And I'm like, that's a really interesting, fun fact and how things always come around. It's just bizarre.
For sure.
Right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I played that song at weddings when I was DJing long before I ever met her. So it's wild how it kind of connects, right? We didn't get married to it, but it's because she but we we're indebted to it. Obviously, she's done really well with that song, and it is funny how it's touched so many people's lives, like at weddings, like literally every day we hear from people, and it's a beautiful thing. It's kind of a timeless thing that she and I were so grateful for. I just take credit for it now that she's my wife. I'm like, yeah, I co-wrote it.
Yeah.
Hey, man, what's yours is hers, and what's hers is yours, man.
Right? Isn't that how it works, man?
Straight up, yeah.
I love it. So I did have to bring that up and just mention that once because I thought that was a really interesting and cool similarity in how that things connect like that.
For sure, man. And I'm proud. I'm not weird about it at all. Like I'm proud of who I married. I love my wife. Like it's been a blessing for our family, and also it's fun to see it affect so many people and really be a part of their lives. That song and also her career and her music career. Like she's done a few albums recently as a parent. So she's done lullaby albums. Now we have other parents coming up and saying, we play your album.
Wow.
We put our daughter to sleep. It's so sweet. So whenever you can make stuff that actually affects people like that, it's super special. And so you guys know, as I love telling it, I mean, wait, you're married.
I'll be married in September.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So maybe not for you guys, but in general, you never know with life and interviews. I interviewed her at my interview job for iHeart Radio in 2013. That's how we met on camera. So like doing what I do and hustling this career actually led me to my wife without even knowing it. And it's funny looking back, like I didn't I wasn't being creepy in the interview, but I was totally like, who is this woman? Wow. And I guess I played it right because I didn't creep her out. And I asked her out for a few years after we met on camera. And then she finally asked me out a couple years later, but we were playing catch up for a while.
That's amazing.
But it was trippy how what we're doing here, I was going to joke with you guys. You never know who's you're interviewing, but you're spoken for, but it's true, you just don't,
you never
life
know.
is like that.
Well, that's funny that you say, because I have a similar scenario with my fiance. Is I met her through my career. Is actually his dad had hired me, 9 years ago, something like that. And I was traveling for my career and I bumped into her she's from Texas, and went down for a sales conference and bumped into her. And then through career, I'm like, you never know, where you're going to meet somebody. And then a year later, I came back to the same event And I'm like, hey, is that girl, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, she's still working here? I go, yeah, she'll be in tomorrow. I said, I'll be back tomorrow. And so it's like, it's the same thing as you. It's like, you're doing something, it's for your career, you never know what's going to happen. And bang, there you go. You meet the woman of your dreams that you spend the rest of your life with.
So I got to be open to it. And also, without getting too into the culture of today, like you meet someone at work that you vibe with, that you might date them. Like all of a sudden, this is like not okay.
Yeah.
The head of CNN just resigned because he was dating a colleague. Like 20 years ago, it's like, hey, guess what? Me and Melanie are together now. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Like, why is it a big deal? Because I think people don't realize that you can separate the two. Like, job and home are two different things. Like, just because you guys work together, why can't you go out after work and have a drink? Like, as long as you're still, if it's hindering your performance at work and stuff, then maybe you guys shouldn't. But if it's as long as you're still getting it right, like I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think people are just very, very safe these days. But I do joke about that. Like, in the 20s, everybody met at work, right? I feel like, or in the town or whatever it was. But we weren't directly under the same paycheck at the time, but it's funny thinking how it was an interview and it was just this moment in time. And we actually have all 15 minutes of it on camera.
That's great.
It's a good marriage tool now. It's hey, remember the butterflies? Like the first meeting? Remember what you thought? And you made up this image of me from first meeting. Let's get back to that,
That's great. That's something that you'll always have for the rest of your life. You can go back, 30, 40 years from now, play that. Remember this moment, babe?
Not many people have their very first interaction like on camera.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. And we played it for our daughter. And it's trippy because speaking of like the hustle, at the time at iHeart, I wasn't really like a host. I was a blogger who wanted to do interviews. So I was hustling at the company just to do what I do. And that room we had, I just got convinced artists and labels to come in there, but I just like taped a tripod to a camera to a tripod with my friend, another blogger, this girl Allie, who was like helping me. It was so sweet. We had no help, so I hit record, and then I went on set, and artists would walk in. So we literally have like unfiltered moment, like where she first walked in. Which once you're working with a crew and stuff, like you don't usually record that. Like we have, because of me just trying to like make my way there, it ended up being more special that we had all that footage,
That's right.
It's kind of funny.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
So speaking of interviews, obviously we're interviewing you, we interview other guests. We wanted to ask you, what's the best way, or what's your number one thing that you make sure that needs to be done during an interview, like how to really get connected with somebody?
This world, you guys are doing a great job, and we're on Zoom. I feel like we could be drinking and hanging in person though, with the way your vibe is. I think it's
I would, yeah.
I know, but you seem that way. I think it's a comfort thing. Like my whole career, I've always treated people the same, and I think you guys are similar. Like talking to me, it's like not getting stuck in what you're trying to achieve, and not getting stuck in really like. Even when I work for people, I've worked for many different shows, and sometimes you'll have a producer be like, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Or even you have an idea you think you want. But if you're not in the moment and present and just feeling comfortable and just being a human with somebody, it really can ruin the whole thing. And I've always just been like that first. Before I'm like, I don't care that we're filming. I don't care if you're the biggest star in the world or you're not. It's like, let's just be real and hang for a second and have a moment together. And I think that's always helped me, because you have big celebrities sometimes who don't get treated that way. Yeah. They get treated like they're different. They get treated like they're weird. You don't think about that when people are super famous. So a lot of times, like, people get nervous. People, do this. The publicist is a jerk. There's like all these other factors. And I've prided myself on just not giving a shit and just being like, hey, what's up? Absolutely. How's your day going? And then if they're not, sometimes it's a challenge. We have to really try and connect, but I don't overthink it. Like, I think I just naturally love people and want to just have a good time with people. And if they're not gelling with me, it's sometimes funny too, because I'm like, wait a second, this is not, what am I doing? Like, it throws me off. And then you have to meet people where they are and go from there. Like, I've had some weird interactions on camera that instead of getting nervous and trying to like overcompensate, I'll just go where the person's going and see and go, oh wait, there's something maybe funny or interesting here. Let's follow that. And it took me many years of like failing, I think. And I'm not an expert now, but a lot of times it's like being on stage too. Like when you have silence on stage with stand up, when you first start, and I'm still this way sometimes, you want to overcompensate. You want to fill the air, when sometimes if you're comfortable and you let it sit, and then you get your joke or whatever. It's the same with the interviews. I feel like follow it, let things happen. I'll just sit there sometimes on interviews and just like let something happen, and then we'll get somewhere. And I don't know. It's a long-winded answer, but
that's perfect.
Having fun, being comfortable.
I totally agree with that too, because it's kind of having that balance between you being the person who's interviewing them. You want to kind of control the conversation because you have some questions and you want the interview to go a certain way. But if it's not really vibing in that direction, you kind of want the other person. You can clearly see that they want to go in this direction, so they kind of steer it. You're like, all right, let them steer it, because that obviously is what they want to talk about, and you want to get them to open up and be comfortable. So if they're comfortable talking about this thing, whereas you wanted to talk about like, fuck that, I'm not going that direction. I'm going to go here because they want to talk about that, and they're more comfortable in that realm. So get them comfortable, let them talk.
Yeah, it took us a while to kind of develop our little structure. That's why we usually we send like in our email we sent to you. Like, we just recently started putting like, hey, it's very casual, it's laid back, don't worry about it, it's not recorded, it's not live. And then we give some questions so people can kind of get an idea of what we want to ask. And then, as you know, we highlight it like this may not be asked, it's just to provide structure just in case the interview doesn't go like you said, if you're not really vibing with us. We do have some background questions to be like, get back on track.
And we also put in there too where if there's anything that you don't want to talk about, be sure to let us know, or here's some questions. If you don't want to touch them, then highlight those. Like, listen, don't ask that. I don't want to talk. Then fine. Sure. We certainly won't talk about it, because, again, we don't want you to be uncomfortable having to answer questions you don't want to answer. Like, that's not the point of it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part, and why as soon as we get on the Zoom, we kind of have that chit chat back and forth to kind of break the ice and kind of get to know who we're interviewing and kind of see. Do we have to be super serious, or can we lay back and say fuck shit balls all the time?
Which we do.
But yeah, we're the same way. We're all about just making the person feel comfortable and like just relax, and like they can just say whatever they want to say, and they don't have to feel like prim and proper, like they need to talk to us.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's what people want now too anyway, especially with podcasts and all forms of interviews. From when I first started interviewing to like now, people don't want cookie cutter bullshit. I mean, I actually rub up against it if I'm working, as a host, and I have like people are asking me to hit like generic. I think to be sane, I always want to just be a little more natural and see what's fun and follow that than like being vanilla, which by the way doesn't make me super hireable for certain hosting jobs. Like, I've lost jobs because they say, well, we just want this to be a little bit safer, and I've leaned more into the comedy side. I've said I'd rather be this way. Like, it's taken me many years to be confident about that, though. For a while in this job, you get people sizing you up, how you look, what you talk like, and lately, the past few years, I've just gone into this deep end of like comedy and following what's fun with my work, and not worrying so much about being in like a cookie cutter box. I think most people are that way who are successful, especially in the social media realm. Like, people want authenticity, they don't want fake. And I hate fake.
I get a lot of I got a lot of like inspiration from like authenticity and just doing your homework and details. I watch or I used to watch a lot the interview on YouTube, the hot ones with the chicken wings.
Yeah.
So that guy would have crazy questions and like very in-deep questions, and people were very impressed about that. So I was like, I always took notes. Like, all right, if we're interviewing somebody, make sure we do some background. Don't just say, who are you? What do you like to do? You want to get some interesting questions. And as well as this guy, he interviews a lot of hip hop artists. He's out in British Columbia. He's very quirky. Nardwar. Have you ever heard of this guy?
No.
He's a old, I think he used to be on the radio, but he has these very quirky interviews, and he dresses very crazy, and he meets these rappers, and he knows so much about them, like their own family members and friends don't know about them, and they're always shocked, like, how do you know about this about me? Who told you this? And he gets his information, and they're always good interviews because they always give like, you don't think of certain questions or certain details about people, and they're like, how do you know that? And all right, well, I'll tell you about it. Let me tell you. And it's just like, I would have never known that. So
for sure, I think what you're touching on is that natural curiosity that I find myself in interviews doing the same thing. Like, it comes up, even if you're, when you prepare, and then if you care, you're inquisitive, it's going to come out and be a better dialogue, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna touch on. Took the words out of my mouth. Is that it's a better dialogue, and it turns out to be a better interview if you're just acting natural, like you said, just being a human being. and having a conversation, not asking the very cookie cutter questions. Because if you ask the cookie cutter questions, so does the other 9 or 10 interviewers that are doing the same interview, especially if it's a big, celebrity. They're going through interviews all the time. They get asked the same questions all the time. Yeah. You might as well go down the human element of it and be a human, have a conversation, and you might get some crazy stories. I remember we had a crazy story about, we had a couple interviews, a couple of guys on here, like football players. We had a comedian, and we just went into this crazy story about how he got his shot with this guy gave him a shot while he was drinking in a bar at one time. And this guy's like, oh yeah, the one play that I had where I got sacked by Ray Lewis. And it's just crazy stories that you would never hear from a regular cookie cutter interview.
And I also think that it helps that we're both in sales. So naturally we do have to care about people and understand people. So I think that also helps our element because we deal with people every single day. So that's what it's all about.
Wait, what are you two selling besides, gentlemen, stogies, and great hair? I mean, what are you talking about?
So I'm in construction sales.
Nice.
And Justin,
I'm in I sell computer chips, for lack of a better term.
He's an electrical engineer.
Yeah, so it's semiconductors is the technical term, but I always say semiconductors, and then people look at me like, "The fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, "It's the shit that's inside your cell phone." Like, that's crap. Computer chips, okay? So like, if the world goes, if the machines start attacking us, it's probably our chips. Yeah. Okay, so
we'll call you. We'll call you.
Call me.
It's nice.
So I'm gonna pull one out of your book. Segue here.
Nice.
So
segue.
Cigars.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Obviously, we're smoking cigars right now. This is
the reason why we have this podcast.
The reason why we have this podcast. We have a connection on everybody here enjoys smoking cigars. So how did you get into smoking cigars? Like, how long have you been smoking? Do you remember your first cigar? What does it do for you? And why do you do it?
Sure. Oh man, I was trying to think about this. I saw your question. I think it was my buddies growing up that we all hit a moment of like leaning more into this than like other things like binge drinking. Like we like shifted from like in our mid-20s maybe. I think it was living in New York City too. I lived above a whiskey bar in Chinatown for like a decade. And it's when I first got into like brown liquor and like just started coming to my own in terms of things I liked, like which is brown liquor and cigars. And it's tied to show business because I look up to, from an entertainment standpoint, a lot of the greats from back that are back in the day, the Rat Pack, all these guys, Steve Allen created the Tonight Show in the 50s, Johnny Carson, Letterman's a big cigar guy. Like these guys were smoking on TV and drinking and just like having a good time. And I always cigarettes more actually, but I was always like interested in that era and what that was. And that was aligned sort of with me getting into it. It was like, it was musical too. Like I'm a big jazz, like Sinatra crooner guy. And so I'd play that all the time. Dean Martin's my favorite guy ever. He's like my biggest inspiration, Dino. But I actually have my car's not here. I have a Dean Martin, it's an air freshener that swings on my dash. It's so awesome.
Sway with me?
Literally him like this.
Yeah.
It's just him. It's a picture of him. And he's just like, every time I drive. But
it's pretty ironic. He has a song "Sway with Me."
Sway with me.
So I thought it had to be back and forth like that.
It's exactly right. Yeah, he's just swaying. He's still swaying. So it was like that. It was like music and like living in the city and working in showbiz and just like all aligned. And then it became like a very regular thing. My father-in-law is off the boat Italian. Like we share it together. He always brings me cigars. It became like. And honestly, moving here, I think I smoke more now than I ever have because this is cigar weather 24/7. And we have I'm not at my house. We have a great little backyard area. So I'll just have people by and it's just like, it's become this casual thing. And I really think the other side of it is like being a dad now is like, there's only a few things that like you really get to have your moments of just like peace and tranquility. And I think a cigar for me has become this kind of like not retreat, just like meditative, enjoying. Exactly what we're doing is what I do with my buddies all the time, and girls, whoever wants one. But it's like someone just said this to me the other day. I did an interview over a cigar for NBC like a week ago.
Yeah,
which is very topical.
Was it King's Cigar Lounge out in California? Right?
Yeah.
I saw that.
It's with the comedian Guy Torrey. Has this great documentary out on Amazon about the first black comedy night at the Comedy Store here in the 90s. Really cool story. But I interviewed him about it over a cigar. And that's exactly what they were talking about. It's like the amount a cigar takes is like that block of time. And it is tied to me to old fashioned, because it's like we have our phones now and we have all the stuff. And it's like when you have a cigar, sure, you might sit on your phone with your buddies a little, but like it's a moment in time that you could just enjoy and have that peace and that vibe. And that I usually have music going. And so it just became this like special thing to me. And now I'm doing it like all the time here. So by the way, because I'm a professional speaker, I think all my answers are just super long on this show. I'm just like, oh, this and this.
Well, that's perfect. It makes it easier for editing. I might say it makes it easier for editing on the video portion, because I can just put it all on you. I don't have to go back and forth, so you can just get away with it. I've just interviewed so many times. When I'm being interviewed, I just vomit. I just go, hey, I love stogies. Here's why. But yeah, it's such a special like moment for me when I get to do it. And I just had one last night with a buddy. Now I'm here with you guys. Like it's just, as you get older, it's the finer things in life, right? Like just enjoying, and it's the moment. It's just having the moment, and it's almost not distracted. Like we're here together, which is harder, I think, when you're a parent too. You got to find those little times.
Absolutely.
As a dad.
You said it. You said it perfectly. Like we talk about it all the time here. Is that it's a moment where you can be at one with your own thoughts. If you'd like, you could also be with your buddies and relaxing. But it's like that moment in time. You couldn't put it any better. It's that moment in time where you're at peace. Like the world is crazy, especially in show business. We're in the sales. It's constantly going.
Right.
And you need that time to yourself to just kind of. I think Matthew McConaughey says it's kind of you can slow down the clock.
Slow down is
right.
Clock.
Right.
Yep.
You just kind of calm down, enjoy it. Relax, and
it's the cheapest form of therapy. You could pay $150 for a therapy session or $20 for a cigar for an hour.
Exactly. I love that. And some of that what inspires me is a lot of greats who have come before us and done big things in every field. Have these moments, like before cell phones. And I read a lot of philosophy books. Don't ask me why. There's this guy Ryan Holiday does a lot on like Stoic philosophy, but he talks about figures in history. And one that's making me think of you guys is like this story about Winston Churchill, who before he was prime minister in World War II, he was like politically exiled. Like everyone was like, F this guy, he's not going to do it. And I'm probably getting it wrong if any historians are listening, but he had a little bit of a break before he became prime minister during World War II. And during that time, the guy just laid brick and smoked cigars. And then he went on to literally step up to the plate for the biggest opportunity in his life and career and change. And, such a big historical moment in the war that he was prepared for it. And I think when he looked back on it, he was like, that was my time to prepare and have my thoughts and be with my family. And like, I think about that a lot with the cigar. It's like, you may be missing your ideas or things you want to be doing or things in your relationships because you're not having this time. So I try and build it to a level where it's like, hey, maybe I will, come up with something, or maybe something. It's that space that we have less of in 2022. We don't have space anymore for that. So I like to think of those greats who took time, and when I lose jobs and when I'm unemployed, I think I'm just laying bricks like Winston Churchill. I'm gonna do something else.
Dude, I'm gonna
smoke a cigar.
It's great you brought up Winston Churchill, because I mean that's one of
we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and there's a great movie I'm sure you've seen. It's called Darkest Hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that was the same thing. The same thing is he was basically everybody said that you're a piece of shit essentially. Like you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what you're talking. And he was iconic saying, no, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. Nobody wanted to. I know what I'm doing. And he proved himself, right? But they actually have a cigar named after him called the size Churchill was named after him, right? But
of course,
Davidoff actually has a cigar called the Winston Churchill. And then they have another cigar. It's the same Winston Churchill, but they call it the Late Hour. And they named it after that because he used to smoke in the late hours of the evening, doing exactly what he said. Sitting down, thinking, and that's when he would come up with all of these great thoughts, and it would be over a cigar.
We were just we did an episode on celebrities and cigars and why they enjoyed cigars and
iconic cigar smokers is what we called it.
We talked about Winston Churchill and Ernest Hemingway, obviously one of the best.
Oh, nice!
One of the best writers, and obviously one of the most successful, war legends. So. We always say, like we were just talking about, you're one with yourself, you're one with your thoughts. And my take on it was, the reason why Ernest Hemingway was such an amazing writer is because he smoked a cigar all day, every day.
I think they said it was like 20 cigars a day, wasn't it?
Wow.
chain smoking.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
Wow.
So he's constantly in his thoughts because you don't really smoke a cigar around hysteria, right? So
Right.
he's a writer, so you only concentrate when you're by yourself for the most part, as long as I understand. So you open up your mind when you're smoking a cigar. So he becomes the best writer. Winston Churchill, develops his plans and his actions to win the war, and I think it's all due to a cigar. So I always say I always say presidential debates should be held in a cigar lounge because
hell yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, what you guys are reminding me and inspiring me is a lot of times I'm very communal with my cigar smoking. I like to make it like, hey, come on, like my buddy who's here, come have a smoke a cigar at the end of the day. But I need to be more in the habit, and I do sometimes just sitting and having that space by myself. And both times are special, and there's just a certain relaxing thing that I guess in our modern terms, it's like oddly self-care, and it can be self-care for anybody. Like it is.
It is
self-care.
It is
doubt, no
absolutely.
Doubt.
And
don't talk to a dentist. Don't talk to your dentist that way, but whatever.
Well, that's funny that you say that. So I actually have a question. I wanted to segue off what Eric was talking, but it's funny that you mentioned dentist because my dentist I met in a cigar lounge, and it's funny because I was in the dentist chair and he was doing a cleaning or his hygienist was doing the cleaning or whatever, and then he comes in afterwards to kind of examine your teeth and see if there's anything needs to get worked on or whatever. So I had asked him about like teeth whitening, right? I was like, hey, can you guys, do you guys do teeth whitening or whatever? He goes, yeah, no, we do it, no problem. He says, obviously, you get your teeth whitened. It's going to, it'll keep for X amount of months, depending on what your habits are, depending on if you, drink a lot of coffee, if you, drink a lot of soda. And then under his breath, he goes, smoke cigars. Like he kind of whispered it, right? And then I was like, yeah, well, he goes, let me tell you this. He goes, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend that you don't smoke cigars. I'm that 5th one. He said, and that's why I go to you, my friend.
That's perfect. That's amazing.
So
yeah,
I wanted to segue off of what we were talking about, how there's the iconic cigar smokers, and I think we probably already know the answer to this based off of our earlier conversation. But if you could smoke a cigar with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Whoa. Honestly, I think it would be Dean Martin, just because I just was the coolest guy ever.
No doubt. And
I can't imagine hearing about his life and just shooting the shit with him. Even if it was like just shooting the shit with him would be unbelievable, I think it's either him. Can I do 2?
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be him or my modern day idol is Conan O'Brien. So I'm going to say Conan, who's alive, because Conan, I feel like would be hilarious and would be also, and it's not really a cigar guy, I don't think, but I would just say him too, because I go to so many historical guys, but I'd love to chat with Conan over cigar too. I'll say it here in case it happens one day. That'd be cool.
There you go.
Put it out.
So speaking of Conan, there's a show. It's a new show. I can't remember the name of it, but it is basically like a crime mystery show where
Murderville, right?
Yeah, have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
I watch everything Conan does. I love him.
There you go. Because the first episode was Conan, and I don't know if you know the show, but
no, I don't.
They have a it's basically there's a murder. There's a murder that happens. Every episode is a new murder, and they're trying to solve the murder, and everybody has a script except for the one person that they bring in is all ad, like has no clue what the script is, and they have to figure out who the murderer is.
It's great. It's
and
really
the first
fun.
episode was Conan, then they have like Marshawn Lynch, and they have all these people, and it's just Conan was friggin' hysterical. I'm like cracking up watching the episode because he has no clue what's going on. He has no clue. So he's just got a vibe off of everybody, and it's hysterical. He's
great, and it's fun watching them kind of break like a little bit because they're cracking each other up. Will Arnett is amazing in that. He's so funny. I love improv too. Like it's true to interviewing as well. The improv that we were talking about before, which is that show. It's basically an improv show.
Now, have you smoked with have you smoked or shared a drink with anyone that you've interviewed or you met that you're like, man, I could get used to smoking cigars with this guy or this girl?
Yeah, over the years here and there. That recent interview stands out because it was over. We actually met this comedian Guy Torrey and I. We met before at the lounge and we're chatting about doing this interview. And that was a cool one because I'm still pretty young at stand-up. Like I started in college for 1 year and then I stopped for like a long time and then just got back to it like right before the pandemic. So I feel like I'm forever a student of everything, but I still feel very young as a stand-up. And he's a veteran who's been doing it for decades. And so I did sit down the first time and really enjoyed our combo off, not filmed, just totally like picking his brain about stand-up and all the greats who he's friends with. I mean, he knows everybody. He's like boys with Chappelle and he's like, so talking to people like that over a cigar is really cool to me because you're just in the mix with people you look up to, and you're taking everything. And like an interviewer, I'm just like forever inquisitive and kind of learning people's flow and learning what they did to do their thing. And I really like that one. Who else? I mean, I'm drinking with everybody and not like famous. I just mean like, I'm usually like, let's get a drink.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw like a quick snippet on YouTube. It was, I think before the pandemic, you were in New York City at the, you did a quick segment, but you was like first time doing stand up right off the cusp or something like that. And you did like a Mark Wahlberg impression. It was actually pretty good.
Yes.
I thought it was hilarious.
Thanks, man. That was what got me back on stage was I did a segment with the New York Live on NBC, who I still work for. And I did a segment at Caroline's, which was like my favorite hometown club. And they gave me stage time at the end of that. And that reignited in me, like, I got to go back to stand up. And that since that show, I've been doing it like consistently. So it was like doing hosting led me back there,
it'd be a great, I could see you doing an interview, you interviewing him interviewing you on the Joe Rogan podcast. Because Joe Rogan being a stand-up comedian, just like you.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan being a cigar guy, just like you. I think that'd be a very interesting conversation.
I'm starting to see more and more celebrities on their podcasts smoke cigars. Like I see Bill Burr smoke cigars now.
Sure.
Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. All these. I see all these guys. Even athletes like Cam Newton has a podcast now where they all smoke cigars, and it's starting
to be a little bit more
trendy,
accepted. I guess accepted would be the word, because a lot of people, it's kind of taboo. People see you smoking cigars, oh, it's disgusting. But now it's a little bit more outside of the cigar world, looking in, like, let's, Yeah. But
what's funny is I have asked certain clubs, and I want to start doing this, and it's like I'm not at the it's him level. Like Chappelle goes on stage with cigarettes, and like it's Chappelle. I'm not at that level, but I have already gotten shut down at clubs because I want to start doing stand up with a cigar.
Yes.
Because it's just like and some of the greats do that. It's just something about it, and it's very much my vibe and style. I gotta stop saying vibe, man. I've been in LA too long, but
it's a vibe.
It's totally dude. Vibe, man.
I gotta stop. Damn.
I watch so many shows. My wife makes me watch this show, and it's like a what do you call it? Not a dirty secret. Like something you don't want people to know. Guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a stupid show on Netflix called Love Is Blind, and there's one couple. They just it's a bizarre show, but they're interviewing or they're listening to the couple talk, and she's like, "I love this vibe. This is such a good vibe. He's such a vibe." And I'm like, "You gotta stop saying the word.
Pick a different word."
Dude, everyone in LA says vibe, and they say tight, and I'm like, my suits are tight, my pants are tight. Like this is not tight. Okay, this is weird. I'm leaving.
The new thing they say up here is bet. They say bet up here.
Oh, dude, that's been around forever.
They say bet, but I haven't heard it so much. Everybody says, really? All right, bet. I'm like,
that's been around since I was in high school. I mean, when then people come to New York and it's cold, they go, it's mad brick outside. And
brick.
They're like, what?
They have the they have the emojis, right? Yeah. They always that emoji meme that you see. It says only people from New York can understand it. And it's it's a skull, then it's that peach emoji, then it's the angry face, and then it's a brick, and it's like dead ass mad brick.
Yeah. That's it. I have my buddy from Texas. He loves New York. So anytime he sees like a meme or a video referring to North Face jackets, Timberlands, anything, he just sends it to me, and he goes, "Is this how people really think in New York?" I'm like, "Yeah, unfortunately." He'd be like, "Yo, it's mad brick outside. Me put on my Timbs."
I know. You get the lingo. I want to sound East Coast forever. I think I do because of my age coming out here, but you find that it doesn't really go away. But I got to stop saying vibe. If I'm going to publicly say here, I'm going to cancel myself saying vibe from now on. I'm done with it.
You heard it here first.
This is a great environment, though.
There we go. We'll say that.
It's a great environment. I feel great. I like this person's personality.
I'm digging it.
I'm digging it.
I'm enjoying the camaraderie. Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild how and it's funny, like certain words like that pick up and they linger around for a few years, and then like I know like a lot in the rap world. I listen to a lot of rap. I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s with a lot of rap, and I'll hear certain words that people use today that think it's like a new word, and I listen to like a Ludacris song from like 2002, and he says it in the song. I'm like, wait, he said that back in 2002. This word's not new to people.
It comes back around, man.
Always.
Just like bell bottoms.
That is coming around. That is coming around. I've noticed that.
It's like men wearing parachute pants now. You know, everybody's wearing these big pants. I can't get behind it. Can't do
I was never a fan. I was never a fan of that, like the baggy suits and all stuff. Because we're like old school, like traditional, tailored fits. Not right.
Not always. I wasn't always like that. I was big into the big baggy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I had Jinkos back in the day.
Oh my god, you remember Jinkos?
The three quarter,
the South Pole pants. Remember the South Pole pants?
Crazy.
But the suit thing has always been like tighter and tighter. And the one thing that's not traditional, if people call me out on it, it's like, you know, you do the short leg.
Yes.
It's been like a more modern thing, but I do, and old timers will give me crap for. Are you going through a puddle? You know.
What are you doing? That's
where are your
funny.
socks? Where are no socks?
Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest thing I see from
huh?
old timers now is that like with the loafers, the no show socks, where you wear like the really low socks and you put the loafers on. We wear them with a suit. And they're like, where's your socks, man? I go, come on, this is the thing, right? It's like, it's called fashion. It's a new thing. They go, nah, man, you got to put the socks on. And my buddy actually wore it for his wedding. He had the black velvet loafers with no-show socks. I'm like, that looks nice. That looks good, man. That looks really good. And everybody's like, come on, you got to put the socks on. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed with you guys with the Instagram page is that kind of old school. I always wore suits in my career on camera, and since past couple of years I've lost the tie, but there's just something about, you know, dressing in a suit, wearing a jacket for this, or just for even when I go to cigar bars, a lot of times cigar lounges, I like rocking the blazer. Like it's just something I'm actually most comfortable. Like I decided this year I'm going back to the suit for stand up, because it's like I feel most comfortable like that. I just think it's like you're presenting, you're doing something, and I've been hosting for so long in suits. It's just like become my comfort.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
So it's really a front, you know. You just look more professional. You
Absolutely,
look like you got your shit together.
100%. I do it all the time. Everybody asks. I go, why do you wear that all the time? Like, I'd rather be comfortable than look good. I said, well, I look good and I'm comfortable. Like this,
right.
I feel like it's uncomfortable. Like the first time, if you've never remember being a kid and you have to put your suit on, you're like, I don't want to put a tie on, right? But if you wear it over and over and over and over and over again, it becomes comfortable in you. I feel better in it. I feel more relaxed in it.
I know it's a good. I mean, ever since you get custom tailored, bespoke suits, shirts, pants, you can't go back to like go to mall shows and stuff like that.
No,
and not everyone knows that experience.
Yeah, it's funny in stand up too. Like I go to these small, you know, I'm not doing huge shows at my level, but I'm, you know, you perform everywhere, and people are like, "What do you?" You know, they either say, "Oh, nice suit," and they'll be like, "You don't have to dress up." Like they'll like rip on me backstage and stuff, and I'm like, "This is just my thing. I'm just gonna keep it going now."
And it makes you stand out because, like I said, that kind of era where you wear a suit to work every day, suit and tie, you go wear a suit to dinner, you wear a suit to go to CVS. That's not around anymore. So when you do wear like just a jacket, even with jeans, and they're like, "Why are you so dressed up?" And I'm like, I'm in jeans and a sports coat.
Yeah, like the only difference is I put a sport coat on. Like I'm still in like most of the time, like you wear jeans and like either a sweater or jeans and a t-shirt, and you throw the sport coat on with a little pocket square and kind of dress it up a little. People said, why are you dressed? I go, I'm literally wearing what you wear. I just put a sport coat on. Yep. Like I mean,
it backfires. The amount of times I've been introduced as like a real estate agent, though. It's like people are always making jokes and stand up now with me.
You know what's also nice too is I like having a sport coat because I like having the inside pockets to put my phone in here and then my wallet in the other. Like it's nice because then usually I wear my phone like in my back pocket. Like right now, if I just have a sweater on, but you put like the phone in the back pocket. But then every time I sit down, I got to pull the phone out. But if I have a jacket, it's always just in the pocket. I never have to pull shit out of my pockets all the time.
No doubt. We're getting our own cigar made. It's been in the works for over a year.
Nice.
So it should be done. The timeline now is April. Should be done. So when we get some cigars, we gotta send them over to you so you can put them in your suit pocket so you can have them after the show.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, I'd be honored. I'll definitely smoke that. Speaking of, how's that Andalusian Bull right now? It's smooth, right?
Flawless.
Such a good cigar.
You know what I like about it too is it's a long stick. Like I'm halfway through, and we've been going for over an hour.
It's really smooth.
It's the best. I mean, and they actually just came out with a new size. I don't know if you saw that. Someone sent me a picture who also loves the Andalusian Bull, but it was like a Toro. You know, this is kind of like it gets fatter at the end. It was just like a super Toro, and I thought it looked even better that size than this one.
You know what's good about the Andalusian Bull is a lot of times. So this was rated. I'm sure you know, it was rated Cigar of the Year. I believe it's in 2016. I think it was by a Cigar Aficionado, and a lot of times is when a cigar gets that title, the following years it tends to lose a little bit of its luster, lose a little bit of its quality because the company can't keep up with. Because once it goes number one, everybody wants to smoke it, and then they can't really keep up with it. But this one, along with like the Oliva Series V Milanio, when that was 2014, the following years it didn't lose any quality. It was still good every single year.
Yeah, you know what? You just reminded me of that Oliva cigar. Was the first cigar I smoked. That was the one.
That was a question. That was a question we had.
I forgot.
Wow, what a cigar to get it! What a cigar to smoke to get into you.
I know.
Wow.
Well, for years, my only cigars I smoked were box pressed because I liked the way it felt.
Yeah.
That's a box press, and I would just go to cigar shops and just say, "What do you got that's box pressed?" And I would try all the box pressed cigars. That's how I got into it. I just remembered, and then I've since kind of tried everything. But box pressed to this day, I'll still. I mean, no, this one's not. A little bit, I think, my father. No, it's not box press, but it's got a little bit of a little bit of a rectangular. But I like the way it feels with the box.
Yeah, the box press feels very nice in your hand.
I want to say one quick cigar story because I just thought of it. And I think it'd be funny to tell you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question though. Are you close with your father-in-law? Is he with us?
Yes.
Your wife's?
Yes.
How about you?
Yes.
Cigar smokers?
He will, like if I'm smoking and I ask him to smoke, he will, but he doesn't smoke every week or something.
He'll have a cigar maybe like on occasion. I think I smoked a cigar maybe once or twice, and I've been with my wife for altogether over 8 years. So maybe once or twice I smoked a cigar with him.
Cool. I'm lucky. My father-in-law and I are kindred spirits. He's off the boat Italian. We speak Italian together. We smoke cigars together. But the first night I met him, my wife was just telling the story yesterday, so it's top of mind. It's topical. You know, when you meet the future father-in-law, if you're just dating a girl, like I was just dating first time, we were dating a few months. I meet the father, we go to dinner, and then we go back to their house, the future in-laws house, and we go in the basement and he lights up a cigar. And so like a proper, trying to honor the guy, I kept smoking this cigar with him, shooting the shit with him. And I didn't want to ever be done with mine before him. And so I kept almost like when the mom cooks the spaghetti, like you never leave an empty plate, right? I felt the same way about the smoking of a cigar of the father. So I'm down there like this, right? And I keep lighting this cigar and I'm like down to I'm so low. I'm like here.
To the
and my wife comes down and she just goes, "What's on your face?" And I'm like, stop. And she literally wipes my face. She's my girlfriend at the time. She wipes her face. I'm like, stop. And my whole side of my face was burnt. My mustache was all burnt, all here, like nub of burnt hair, because I literally just kept lighting the thing in front of the guy. I was like, "Yeah, tell me more. I'm cool. I respect
burning your mustache off."
Yeah. I burnt half my mustache off. I literally smelled burnt hair the whole time. It was like, and he had no idea. And my wife saw it right away. She said, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it.
Get out of here."
And then later on, we always joke about it now that I just felt like I was trying to, get the seal of approval. I couldn't put the stick down before him or before it was completely done.
Yeah.
I was just trying to respect it, but it was funny because it was disgusting.
I was going to say, how did you wake up the next day? You're probably like,
well, yeah. And it was just I lost half of my mustache, but it worked out. We got married and him and I smoke many cigars now. And I finish whenever I want. So it's easy. It's good now.
You did it for the conversation, did it for the bonding.
It paid off. It paid off. That's all that matters.
Man. Exactly.
I love it. Well, listen, we're coming down. We've been going for well over an hour, and we'd love to go we could go for 2 hours. I mean, hell, I could just keep talking all day long. But we're getting down to the time where we like to basically give you the red carpet to talk about the next thing that's coming out, the big things that you're doing, where people can find you on your Instagram, if you have a Twitter, if you have a website. The floor is yours. Let the people know what it's about.
Thanks, man. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. This is the first thing I've done in a while where I just like have a bromance with you guys on social media, and here we are meeting. Now we're friends, so thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate having me. Honestly, my social media is the best place to keep up with me. It's just at Paul Costabile, which is my full name. Because I sort of post all my clips there, like some of my TV stuff, some of my comedy stuff. And I'll also post when I'm performing. So come see me in New York. I think I have a show in April in New York. So it'll be on my Instagram. I perform there quite a bit when I'm home there, what I still call home. And then the other thing is just keep on my social media for this new show I'm going to be putting out soon. The pop-up show will be out. And we're going to have a new YouTube for it, which will just be the pop-up show YouTube. And that's like the biggest thing I'm going to start promoting in the next few months. I'm really excited about. So check those out and come see me live. I really am trying to get better at live, and maybe you guys can come out and we'll have a stick after or something. Like I really enjoy doing stand-up because I get to meet people and get better at that craft. And so I want to get better at having people come see me. Like come see me live. It'd be great, especially in the city.
My brothers are huge comedic fans. I mean, like I said, they see Bill Burr, I've seen Tom Segura, all those guys, Joe Rogan. So if you do have a schedule or if whenever it comes out, send it over our way and we'll definitely try to set it up for April.
Thank
It'd be
you.
awesome.
Yeah. And if I got to get to that. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I got to get to that club in Long Island everybody plays. What's it called?
The Paramount?
Someone told.
Governors?
Oh, is it Governors maybe? That's not Long Island. That's Governors.
Governors is Long Island. Yeah. Well, if you're in Manhattan, whenever you're here, we'll definitely, we'll come out and see you. We'll have a cigar afterwards. We'll take you to, seeing as how you're a big Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra fan, we'll take you to the Carnegie Club, which is
it's my spot.
There you go.
Our favorite.
I know.
We'll go smoke at the Carnegie Club.
I was about to ask you guys about it because when I lived there, I went like all the time, but now I go every time I'm in town, I'm there. Like literally every trip I've been back in New York, I've been at Carnegie. It's the best.
The same as us. That's our favorite. That's our favorite spot in Manhattan. Anytime I'm in there for whatever, business dinners or Christmas dinners or any, I'm going to the Carnegie Club. I got to work the schedule. I got to be there at what, got to go.
Same. I actually went last time at a show. I was there after. It's just the spot. It's so great.
It's the best vibe. It's the best vibe.
I like the atmosphere. It's nice.
The atmosphere, the ambiance is really, really nice. So, Paul, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you smoking a cigar and hanging out with us and getting to know you a little bit better. Hopefully we'll get you. Maybe we can reconvene in a year or so. See where you're at.
I love it, man.
And we'll get you back on. But
listen, I love what you guys are doing. Thank you for having me. Keep up the funny stuff online too. I'm always loving your clips. So
thank you, brother.
Thank you for the support. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
So with that being said, Paul, again, cheers, salute, chin chin. Until next time, my friend.
Centani.
Centani.
Oh.